It's been 75 years since the original opening night of the Fox Theater, and over 20 years since it was saved from the headache ball and restored to its former gaudy glory. But inside the Fox Theater, beneath the stage, is a musical wonder which has its own story. I'm talking about the mighty Fox Wurlitzer, which is one of the few remaining and one of the largest ever theater organs. Built especially for the Fox Theater, it made its debut on opening night in 1929, but was retired in 1938 and parked beneath the stage and left to rot for more than 20 years, until a young music student named Stan Kann heard about it.
That time it was owned by the Arthur brothers, and I persuaded Mr. Arthur to let myself and some friends from the university come in here at night after the last show and try to work on it and get it to play again, which we did. And after we got it to play reasonably well, of course it wasn't great, but it was reasonable, I've called him in, let him hear it. And he said, let's put you to work for 5 weeks, playing it 7 days a week, 4 times a day. Well, the public liked it so well that those 5 weeks became 22 years, 7 days a week, 4 times a day. And it was fun for the first 10 years, and then I had to get help. I love it, even though it gives me lots of trouble sometimes. Sometimes it does just as it wants, and if you don't like it, the heck with you. It differs completely from a church organ, because the idea of the theater organ was to be much more orchestral than a liturgical instrument. It was made to play the pop tunes of the day, ballads, romantic music, because the idea of a theater organ is built on tremolo, like a violinist does with his hand.
So you can expect some sounds you won't hear from your average church organ, including the sound of choirs.
It's a Latin word. Vox humana, means voice of the human. We have the streetcar gong. Not many people remember the streetcar. Either get on or get off. And of course the car comes right down the street. The birds, they're hard to hear. They're very small birds. And the little orchestra bells. For Christmas is wonderful. All that kind of stuff. This was one of the largest ones ever made by the Wurlitzer Company, and it was here. They had it ready in 1929 for opening night. Unfortunately, it did not get to play for silent movies. That was the main idea of the theater organ, you see, because this theater didn't open with silent movies. And they decided to use it to play between pictures.
Back in 1929, people didn't care as much about which movie they were going to see as which theater they would see it in, so all the major studios competed to build the most elaborate palaces. Midtown was St. Louis's Great White Way, and the Fox one of its brightest lights. It was built on the site of the old church you see in this picture, and money was no object when the idea behind the design seemed to be, why just do it when you can overdo it?
The style is called Siamese Byzantine, which is just a little bit of everything. The first movie palaces were basically Renaissance and Baroque palaces, very classical. As the era moved on and we started being built in 1927, you had to go beyond that. And so they became, as I call it, ostentatiously glorious. And we have the fabulous Fox, which is a little bit of Babylonian, Deco, Egyptian, Indian, you name it. There's a little bit of everything here.
One day a little girl was with her mother on the tour, and they were waiting in the lobby. She's looking around. She must have been 4 years old. She's looking around at this theater. She says, "Mommy, does God live here?" Because of the ornate splendor of the place. And I don't know whether people in St. Louis or the neighboring communities realize that this is the last remaining palace of its type.
We really didn't know what we were going to do with it, but we wanted to save it. We wanted to restore it because we felt that St. Louis deserved having one of its movie palaces left because they were being torn down. And so we didn't do feasibility studies. We were just determined and knew that we could pull it off. Many people said, "It's a white elephant. What are you doing? Nobody will come." And we didn't believe them.
Good thing they didn't believe them, because it can get pretty hard to find spare parts for a Siamese Byzantine theater, and pretty difficult to find the skilled craftsmen it requires to bring a theater like this back to the way it was in 1929. But on September 7th, 1982, the Fox reopened to a packed house and Stan Kann at the Wurlitzer.
It was interesting to stand out in the lobby and listen to people as they came in. Everyone just looks up at the ceiling and says, "Oh my gosh." But I heard this man, and he walked in, he looked around and says, "Big deal, big deal. It looks like it always did." And I said, "We're a success. We did it."
And a few people told me, as the organ made its appearance through the pit, we sat there and we cried. It brought back such wonderful memories, and we were so thrilled by the sound. I said, that's not what I was trying to do. I wasn't trying to make you cry. I was trying to make you happy. They said we couldn't help it. It was such a thrilling thing to be in the Fox Theater again and see the organ and hear the organ come up. It took us back 20, 25 years to when we were young. It was designed for a 5,000-seat theater. And it has 7 rooms of pipes, 3 on one side of the building, 4 on the other, and they are on 2 floors, 4th and 5th floors, which I can show you. And it was made to speak into this auditorium, and any deviation from location would spoil it. It's the romance of this building. This building has romance, has an acoustical property that is just incredible. As I look back on it, I spent a good part of my life in this place, 22 years of my life. And it became home.